EVE Vanguard is back with a Solstice event offering a new map and additional content for players to try out. With the creation of the official Vanguard Discord and additional advertising by CCP bringing in an influx of old Dust veterans, I thought it would be worthwhile to explain the key differences between the two games. As the Solstice event is yet to start, this video will focus on what we know from the First Strike playtests. Here are the 10 key differences as a returning Dust 514 veteran. The biggest difference is Vanguard is very much in early development. Dust was a complete game. Whilst it was continually worked on, there was very little major content dropped after they started to work on Legion. This means it had the full gameplay loop and substantial content. The one gun, one available map and limited number of days to play Vanguard highlights we're still very much in the early testing phase of development. CCP have also mentioned the June playtest will be the last public event for some time. No elaboration on this, but hopefully they'll provide an update as part of their Q&A. The First Strike series of playtests features no dropsuit customization, no skill accumulation, no persistence in inventory, barring banked credits between playtests, no use for those credits, and no corporations. Therefore, manage your expectations accordingly. Only as part of the latest playtest is CCP offering the opportunity to accumulate gear with persistence across play sessions and the ability to customize your weapon. The full gameplay loop is not there, and if your motivation to play is to progress your character, then holding off until later in development cycle may give you a better first impression. Twitch and YouTube are great resources to keep up to date with Vanguard's progression, and CCP have recently opened up an official Discord where they will host Q&As and provide updates on development. With that said, Vanguard is no Dust 2.0. It is no lobby shooter, and while CCP are pitching it as a sandbox shooter, in its first iteration Vanguard is closer to an extraction gameplay loop. There is no 16v16, instead you're in a small fire team of 3 against other players, up to 21 in one server instance, although this was dropped to 18 in the May playtest, and a host of NPCs. These include elite enemies, soldiers, workers, and static turrets. Match instances take place over 4 stages, the first and last being 5 minutes and the second and third being 15. This gives a max deploy time of 40 minutes, although players will often be dropped into a match already in progress. You'll need to extract before the end of the 4th stage, or you will unceremoniously be kicked from the game with no end of match summary. It is in a pre-alpha after all. What you do once you deploy is up to you. As part of the First Strike playtests, there was no persistent stream play sessions. Anything you extracted was converted to credits, and whilst these have been carrying over each playtest, there is currently no use for them in-game. So, you can run missions, complete the playtest challenges to earn skins, explore the map, or simply PvP. The option to drop into a game in progress and extract quickly fits CCP's aim of a game that supplements your EVE Online play sessions, giving you something engaging to do whilst you wait to fleet up. There are no vehicles in Vanguard, and the carrion map has been designed accordingly. The focus is on directing players to the centre, so it's rare you'll need to traverse from one side of the map to the other. This change fits the move away from 2 competing teams. A solo player or a squad of 3 has a lot less need for a tank or a dropship. The lack of vehicles is a personal disappointment to me, but with Project Nova killing off the Combined Arms vision, it's hardly a surprise. Vehicles have not been explicitly ruled out, so if you want them back, be sure to offer that feedback to CCP in a constructive manner. Many would argue that vehicles were the most contentious issue in Dust, with those claiming they're overpowered, or that they have no role, or that CCP caused the whole mess by gutting the vehicle modules and never iterating on it. Either way, CCP are taking the easier route with Vanguard and sticking to just inventory-based gameplay for the time being. There is no orbital support in Vanguard. That's right, probably the most marketed feature of Dust 514 does not make the transition to Vanguard. At this stage, there are no mechanics to directly impact the gameplay in either game. CCP understands it was one of the most talked about features of Dust, so I'm sure it's on the roadmap if there is enough player demand. It is a difficult technical hurdle to overcome though. Whether they can reuse any of the old code or even whether that's a good idea is unknown. Whilst I enjoyed it in Dust, and even got to drop a few orbitals in faction warfare matches I participated in, it was not widely used. NPC warbard strikes were often sufficient, and the inability to choose where faction warfare fights took place meant many jumps in EVE chasing for the next match. Vanguard introduces real-time crafting into the gameplay. Fueled by the loot you obtain, you can create ammo, deployable shields, and mission items whilst planetside. In Dust, there was a quick def and respawn mechanic. Your clone numbers are much more limited in Vanguard. With no nano hives, you will need to loot resources to craft more ammo. There is also the ability to change your damage type, crafting kinetic and energy rounds as necessary. Energy ammo is much more effective against shields and is best used in PvP given the higher resource cost. At this stage, there is no confirmation whether the damage types from EVE are being simplified in Vanguard, or if it's still early days in building the in-game assets. Vanguard also features a link to EVE Online. By completing missions, you can either increase a system's corruption or suppression level. This is the Pirate Insurgency feature that was deployed as part of the Havoc update. The missions you take will determine which you contribute to. However, just like in Dust, there is no option to target specific regions in EVE Online. CCP Aurora mentioned in a First Strike Twitch stream that this is a proof of concept feature, testing the ability for Vanguard to influence EVE. In the future, we may see different systems affected and perhaps a return to faction warfare, fighting for your chosen empire. Contracts or missions. Whilst Vanguard is advertised as a sandbox shooter and you could just spend your time planetside simply admiring the scenery, you will have objectives to complete. When you first deploy, you are presented with the option to pick one of 4 available contracts. There are 11 unique gameplay objectives, with each offering you a suppression corruption equivalent. That is excluding the Dust to Dust mission, which is a simple kill anything that isn't in your squad. This differs from Dust's team-based objectives that were simply to hack and defend a point. Multiple squads will be roaming the map in Vanguard who may have the same objective or simply passing through onto the next site. Adding in solo players as well, there is plenty of opportunity for action and suspense. In the early playtests, you could only do each mission once, but it has since been opened up for repeats, and hence why you can see some crazy numbers of completed contracts in the subsequent leaderboards. For a quick mission guide, you can click this link, but be aware this is now out of date and only applies to the Carrion First Strike map. Sound is crucial in Vanguard. Whilst the sound design in Dust was great, and I still miss that headshot sound, making noise was never a concern in Dust. In Vanguard, it is a source of information. You will likely hear other players engaging in a firefight before you see them, the subtle differences conveying what ammunition is being used and how far away. You may also hear players mining and breaking open panels, or you may be deafened by it if you try to attempt this yourself. The sound design in Vanguard has been great. The volume levels can be tweaked with some of the later content that dropped, but you'll really hear the benefit of wearing a headset with directional audio. I've also found the kill confirmed sound to be the most reliable indicator of when to stop shooting. The first open play test featured NPCs that would freeze standing upon death for half a second, but listening was an easy solution to this. Coming from Dust, you will need to be much more picky about when to fire your gun. An errant shot when you first deploy after getting back to your desk, and you may be hunted down at your spawn location. Vanguard is exclusively on PC. A fairly obvious difference, CCP have been keen to move away from consoles ever since Legion was dreamed up, so it's no surprise that Vanguard follows this trend. Since we're unlikely to see a PC version 2, this means CCP does not have to worry about the platform becoming obsolete, something that no doubt contributed to Dust's shutdown. The drawback is the need for optimization is lowered, as demonstrated by Vanguard's high recommended specs. Porting to console has not been ruled out, but as it's so early in development cycle, CCP are in no hurry to do so. This means you either need to use a keyboard and mouse, which many players would say is the better option, or despite no official controller support, members of the community have been adding their own guides on how to set them up. I'll put a link to this in the description. Vanguard is not free to play, or at least heading into the 7th playtest, the Omega requirement is still going strong. Whilst there has been no confirmation of what monetization model is likely to be when it reaches a 1.0 version, CCP are no doubt looking at other FPS releases to plan their strategy. One thing CCP will need to be wary of is the ease of cheating in PC games compared to a closed ecosystem like PSN. If the game is free to play, then that's a low barrier of entry for someone to simply avoid a ban by spinning up a new character. A Helldivers model, where there is an upfront fee and then cosmetic additional content, might work to overcome the potential increase in players cheating. Given the strong connection to your EVE Online account, CCP have called Vanguard a module of EVE after all, then I would expect Omega to continue to offer benefits to your Vanguard character. These were my 10 biggest changes from Dust 5.14. What's your experience with Vanguard? Are you hyped for the new map? Let me know in the comments.